think, and that's what's sort of so exciting about us for E3 is that every time we get to show the game, we're going to be showing something new or something unseen, and we never know what's going to happen in any particular demo. So here, Evan's mounted on this Caragor. We're moving around through this is the open world in Nirn. So this is the south of Mordor. Yeah. And we've got this whole kind of living world that we really want to show off in E3, and the influence of the Nemesis system that actually spreads right throughout the world. So not just through the fortresses that we have, but also out to the wilderness, to the outposts, to the side missions, to the different orcs you'll hunt and recruit. Yeah. Yeah, and actually you'll build and grow those stories with each of those different guys. Yeah, the thing that's really, one of the things we've doubled down on is all of the mounted combat and gameplay. Yeah. So the Caragors, these are fun because they can climb pretty much anything as well. So even when you're mounted, you're just as mobile.
That's amazing, though. I mean, the animation and physics to get that all to work like that across all these different environments.
Yeah, and combat from them, and even stealth, because they're big cats. They can crouch down, they can hunt, they can stalk. Yeah. So you've got these guys, you've got riding the dragons around, you've got these massive, giant Graugs that we have as well. So we have just put so many systems and so much gameplay into all of the sandbox and the open world in here. But I think what we're also going to show here today, after we show a bit more of the open world, is actually a beginning of a fort assault, and we'll.
Oh wow!
Yeah, they're pretty fun as well.
Well, I got to say the world looks incredible. So in terms of scale compared to the first game, what can you tell us about how big?
It's hard to quantify because we've got more regions. Yep. You know, many more regions. Every one of those regions is bigger. Yep. And then every one of those regions is much more dense with gameplay, with content, with verticality, with caves, with secrets, with life. And then every one of those regions changes with what the living world is depending on.
I know. Epic scale of it.
It's nuts. Everything. And then it changes depending on which tribe's in control. So it's kind of, it's bigger than Shadow of Mordor in multiple dimensions. So it's, you know, it's at least 4 to 5 times to play through this experience that we had in the first game. It's everything we're just going for epic, with the story, with the characters, with riding around on drakes, the whole thing. That's our keyword. And that was what was so great for us after people were so, you know, generous and excited about Shadow of Mordor, that it just got us, it enabled us to double down and basically check off all of our wish lists of all the things we wished we
exactly
to do.
It feel like, you know, there were so much people like, obviously, the Nemesis system in the world, and now, as you said, knowing that people like that, to build on that, and still, you know, even though we're showing, you know, epic sort of scale, you know, moments here, it's like that core combat and that, you know, the combat loop. I remember, you know, sort of post-Batman, it's like you guys came in and sort of, you know, I think a lot inspired by that, just sort of really built this, you know, really fluid combat system. I'm sure we'll see when we see the Fortress. I
mean, all the teams did such a great job, you know, the animation team, and the fun thing with that sort of style of combat is we were able to make it so visceral, you know, we're able to have heads flying in the last game, now we can do limbs flying, we can have bodies torn in half.
All the fun stuff.
But as well as that, we've now got this entire additional layer of player progression and skills. So the skill tree is expanded enormously, and you can now really customize your loadout and your skills depending on what your play style is, and then combining that with a pretty epic gear system. So now if you're hunting down and defeating different enemies, different nemesis, they're going to drop, you know, rare, epic, legendary gear, and then you can craft that to really customize the character and to visually change how the hero looks as well.
Yeah, well, we should jump into the Fortress here and see some real live gameplay here and talk about what we're going to see here when we go live. Now, one thing I will ask you about is Xbox One X. You were on stage yesterday. So this game is coming out about a month in advance of One X. So what does that mean? You'll sort of be able to play it, obviously, on your, you know, Xbox One S, and then when it comes out for X, it'll be further enhanced?
Yeah, exactly. So the same, you know, all of the platforms of Xbox One S, and then of course the X and the PlayStation and the PC, but just being able to really take advantage of the power of the X in terms of the scale of the game, in terms of course of just how amazing it can look in 4K. So
will that be, do you think it's going to drive like a better frame rate, or, you know, it's going to be obviously 4K resolution? What can we expect? How much different will it be than the 1S version?
One of the areas where we're really lucky, and the team's just doing such a killer job, is we have our own tech and we have our own engine, which is the Firebird engine. And those guys have just knocked it out of the park in terms of optimizing every element of that, from the frame rate through to the resolution, through to the detail. So we're just taking advantage of it in every dimension just to make sure that the whole thing is really
So we will get a better frame rate on 1X, you think?
Well, we're locked in, we're really committed to this sort of locked in at 30, so it's just always consistent, it's always smooth, even if you're going into the most ridiculous, massive, epic Helm's Deep scale battle and you've got multiple dragons, everything's on fire, there's hundreds of guys on screen, it's just insane.
But then you ratchet up the little details, I guess.
Yeah, exactly. But even then, with all of that insanity going on, which are these really big, intense combat moments, you don't lose any of the responsiveness or the flow or just that great feel that makes our combat so good.
Very cool. All right, well, let's look at some of the combat here. Hura, the blue.
He's definitely blue.
Yep. And we're going to see some real combat here, which is amazing with these forces. And, I got to play this a few weeks ago. I mean, great sense of strategy, obviously, as you sort of go through, get to make choices on how you're going to engage in the battle here.
Yeah, so and also, the army that you bring in with you.
Enjoy this, boys!
So the personalities of these guys, the stories that you build up with them, and the scale of it, it's just immense. Because that's the thing, basically the team, we said, so we had this game, Shadow of Mordor, and we just wanted to make it bigger in every dimension. So now we've got hundreds of guys, we've got more detail on all of those guys, we've got massively more variation with the Nemesis system on them all, we've got the fire and the destruction system, we've got these massive forts. So it's just every single dimension, it got massively expanded. So here, Evan's actually, what he's done is he's used Shadow Strike. So he's gone up and he's taken control of one of these siege beasts. And now he can actually take that, which was a big threat to us, and turn that back on the enemies. And he can now start raining destruction down on this first victory point to help us capture it. A little bit of friendly fire on our own guys, but they'll probably forgive us for that. And then make sure he destroys that so we don't leave it back for the enemy to take over again. And then coming down to the first victory point here.
Capture it.
Stay away from my fortress, or I'll crush you like the man dung you are.
Okay, so he's not too happy about us coming here to take that over, but Evan's in a hurry. We've got our 10 minutes. And then also, even beyond all of these sort of millions of possibilities of their different strengths and weaknesses, their personalities affect the combat as well. Yeah. So if they get enraged, they go into a frenzy, which makes them even more dangerous in combat. And then we can see he's cursed as well. So these cursed attacks actually take away some of our power.
Look at that. I love the fluidity of that, right?
Yeah,
I mean, it's just like,
Okay, he's going to, that's actually one of the tribal weapons this guy's going to use. Oh! Got away. Okay, that was close. Let's see how he goes. But something we've really, the levels that you see of the enemies, all the classes we've added to the enemies, all of the tribes, so just no two of these guys are going to be the same. Now that walls burst through as well from our artillery. And then every fight that you have is going to create a new story, and either having these guys join your army and become part of your story that way, or potentially fighting to the death or becoming an enemy. So our guys occupied here, bang, and we can take the
victory point captured
and grab some epic loot there as well. So depending on how powerful the enemies are, what your story is with them, we then have the whole gear system. And then the fun thing, in order to make the gear actually even build more stories, you get a little challenge on the gear, and if you unlock that, that unlocks additional traits on the weapon, and also little quotes that help you remember that personal story with that orc.
Oh, I mean, as the scale of the game increases, as you said, Nemesis system, how it's going to sort of scale over the game, and that's what makes it so much more memorable. Characters that are going to remember in more ways.
Yeah, it's more epic and more personal, which I think is definitely fits with Middle Earth and with that kind of epic fantasy as well. Okay, see if we. Don't know how far we're going to be able to get through this fort assault in the time we have.
But
he's charging through.
I have faith that he's going to get through all the way through it, through all these victory points, as long as he doesn't die and have to reset back to the beginning of the assault, which I had to do once when I was playing a few weeks ago.
Oh. Okay, so Celebrimbor actually took out Olrock the Biter.
Yeah.
Some more loot.
There's just so much going on, but it's, people know from this game, it's like, it's so fluid, and you never feel out of control. You never feel stuck, and it's like what I love is that you can sort of get in and out of all those combats.
Dragon landed on us, a little bit chaotic, but okay, we'll get it.
It's early in the day.
Yeah.
As you get through more demos today, he'll be great.
But okay, one of our guys is even bleeding out here, but that thing of having this massive scale and all of this chaos, but the combination, I think, of the UI team, the animation team, the AI team, of actually enabling you to control this chaos, to have the skills in combat and to have the tools at your disposal, and your allies to help you out as well.
It looks absolutely incredible. I mean, the scale of what you guys are putting together is just incredible, Michael. So thank you for
so much.
Coming by to show it to us. Of course, coming out, as you said, October 10th across all the platforms. We can't wait